Has America been unfounded? I'm just asking because of two stories that are happening in relationship to the Republican National Convention. First, there's Sarah Palin, who doesn't seem to understand much about the Constitution or the history of the United States of America at all. Maybe that's why she's in with that Alaska secessionist crew. Anyway, someone asked Sarah Palin if she was offended by the phrase, "under God and the Pledge of Allegiance." And she said, quote, "Not on your life. If it was good enough for the Founding Fathers, it's good enough for me, and I'll fight in defense of our Pledge of Allegiance," unquote. Well, what Sarah Palin doesn't seem to understand is that the Pledge of Allegiance actually was not even written until 1892. Over 100 years after the founding of the United States of America. And you see, it wasn't even officially recognized by our government then. Not until the 1940s was there any act of Congress giving any kind of official recognition to the Pledge of Allegiance. The 1940s. We're talking World War II. And it was in the 1950s, 1954, that the phrase "under God" was put into the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's look back at the Founding Fathers. Was the Pledge of Allegiance good enough for the Founding Fathers, as Sarah Palin says it was? Was it a founding document of our nation, as Sarah Palin thinks it is? No. Actually, the Founding Fathers of the United States of America saw fit to have no Pledge of Allegiance. So, Sarah Palin, if you really want what the Founding Fathers want, what they wanted, well, then you must not want the Pledge of Allegiance. Now to the other event. Journalist Amy Goodman was covering the anti-war protests at the Republican National Convention yesterday, and she went up to a collection of police officers, and she wanted to ask them some questions, because that's what reporters do. She started to ask them questions, and the police officers took her by force and put handcuffs on her and hauled her off into a waiting vehicle. They put journalist Amy Goodman under arrest for daring to talk to a police officer. Talking to a police officer, asking a question, is not against the law. In fact, it's against the Constitution to arrest somebody who's a member of the press just for daring to ask a question. We are supposed to have freedom of the press. But apparently, in order to protect the Republican National Convention, we're now arresting reporters in the United States for doing nothing more than asking questions. Shame on the police in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. Whoever was involved in arresting Amy Goodman should be fired. It's no surprise, though, that the police arrested Amy Goodman, because in a time when we have leaders like Sarah Palin who don't even know American history and don't know the Constitution of the United States of America, we have leaders like that going for the vice presidency to be first in line to become president of the United States? Well, I guess it's no wonder that our own police don't know the law anymore either. What is it that they're enforcing? It's not the Constitution. It's not the law. They're enforcing authoritarianism, the ability of people in power to stay in power. Things are looking pretty dark, my friends.